Hello and welcome to another live English lesson presented to you via Zoom platform for conferencing and produced by me, Hamid, your English teacher at FBSS Bilingual Secondary Schools. Today is going to be a kind of revision of what we have studied so far, and we'll try to do some exercises if we have time. And maybe I will read the story for you, so next time you will have to read it. So, as a revision, wait a minute. Yes. So, you remember we started studying Unit 5 with learning about the different ways of communication. We tackled the old ways of communication, of sending and receiving information. You remember when we talked about the early ways of communication, when we said that it all started with the cave drawings and writings when the ancient human beings used to do it, right? We suppose that it all started with that, and especially the early human beings, which we called, or whom they were called, Neanderthals, who lived in Eurasia about 40,000 years ago. So we suppose that the history of communication dates back to those early stages of history. We then mentioned how these means of communication were developed in the following ages. We mentioned how the Sumerians were the first people who invented writing, the first people who used clay tablets to write upon. We then tackled how Arabs used to use horses to send messages. They called it al-barid, and it was a messenger service, which, messenger service, we can say it, we can describe it in its early stages. So we mentioned how people used to use lighthouses, which were built near the sea. These lighthouses warned ships of danger. We also spoke about using flags, right? What is this? And how these flags can be used to send certain information, certain signals. And we also said that it is still used, this way of communication using flags in certain places for certain reasons. We mentioned how people in Africa used to drums to send signals and information, and how the smoke signals were used in America to send such information. We also spoke of the pigeons and how a pigeon can fly over vast areas and carries messages for long distances. We thoroughly explained each one of these old ways of communication. Then we spoke about how to access information. We mentioned different... Okay, we have a newcomer. Yes. So we talked about how to get and access information from different sources, like a library, an internet cafe, or an information desk. These are some of the places to which we usually go to access certain pieces of information. So what do we find there? we talked about how to find information in such places. We also talked about specific section in library, which is the reference section. We mentioned certain types of references like dictionaries, encyclopedias, and atlases. Then we learned how to find the meaning of words in a dictionary. We spoke about how new inventions were made, and we also mentioned how to find such information in an encyclopedia. I uploaded, in fact, 2 encyclopedias to your Google Classrooms. They are huge and full of important information that will benefit you anytime you want to. So I don't know, can you hear me well now? Shall we proceed? Okay. So then we learned how to make important phone calls. But grammatically speaking, when we were speaking about dictionaries, we learned what is meant by parts of speech, right? We mentioned the most important parts of speech, which are the noun. Okay. Which were what? Which were the noun, the verb, the adjective, the adverb, the pronoun, the preposition, and the conjunction. Right? And we studied certain examples of each one and learned the abbreviation of each. For example, the noun is abbreviated into letter N, and the verb is abbreviated to the letter V. Adjective is abbreviated to the letters A, D, J. The adverb is abbreviated into the letters A, D, V. And the pronoun is abbreviated into the PRON. I cannot see it well. Okay, the preposition is abbreviated into the PREP, and the conjunction is abbreviated into the CONJ. And we studied each one of them. We defined each one of them, right? And we learned how to use them in sentences. I gave you examples of each one of them in sentences. Then we studied the passive voice. And pay attention to me, because some of you may have a problem with the passive voice. We're gonna make a quick recap of the passive voice. We spoke about the difference between the active voice and the passive voice. We said that the active voice means that a sentence has a subject. Where's the roundup? Yes. So we said that in a passive voice means that a sentence has a subject that acts upon the verb. This is the active voice. And the passive voice means that the subject is the recipient of a verb's action. What do you mean by this? When the subject of a sentence performs the verb's action, we have a newcomer. Okay. I was saying that when the subject of the sentence performs the verb's action, we say that the sentence is in the active voice. Sentences in the active voice have a strong, direct, and a clear tone. Like, for example, if you say, rabbits love carrots. Or the other sentence, the cat chased the mouse. or the other one, the cashier counted the money. All three sentences have basic active voice construction. Subject, after that there is a verb, and after that there is the object. So in the first sentence, for example, the rabbits is the subject, which performs the action described by the verb love. And in the second sentence, when I said the cat chased the mouse, the cat is the subject, and it performs the action which is described by the verb chased. And here in these sentences, the subjects are doing something. They take action in their sentences. While a sentence in the passive voice, on the other hand, is when the subject is acted on by the verb. I mean, the passive is always constructed with a conjugated form of to be plus the verb's past participle. So the focus in the passive voice is on the action and not the subject who performs the action, right? So, and when you usually change the active voice into the passive voice, this operation generates a preposition, which is by, and after that, after by comes the original subject of the first sentence, the active sentence, right? So it sounds complicated, but it is easy it is easy to form a sentence in the passive voice. Like if we change the sentences that I have just mentioned, for example, if we say, I said that the rabbits love the carrots. If we change it into the passive voice, it becomes carrots are loved by the rabbits, right? Or the other sentence, the cat chased the mouse. If I change it into the passive voice, it becomes the mouse is chased by the cat, right? So it is quite easy to change an active sentence into a passive one. Now, what do we have else? Sometimes you have to use or to mention the by preposition, which is followed by the original subject of the active sentence. Why? Because if you change the active voice sentence into a sentence in the passive voice, you cannot deliver a complete information without mentioning or without using the by preposition. Like when we were speaking about the invention of the radio, we said the radio was invented by Macaroni, I think. So if I tell you the radio was invented, do I give you complete information? Of course not. You already know that the radio was invented, but I should tell you who is the doer, who is the inventor of the radio, right? But the difference between the sentence, the active one, for example, if I say Macaroni invented the radio, the difference is that in the passive voice, the focus is on the radio itself, on the invention, not the inventor. But I have to mention the inventor because otherwise the information will be incomplete, right? So now let's move to the activity book. You can hear me, right? So let's do this exercise. Exercise A on page 73. This is about a spelling. So the first sentence, the first word, what letters should we put here? Spelling, write the missing letters in these words. So what are the missing letters in the first word? Yes, double S. So the word becomes message, right? Exactly. And now number 2. What letters are missing in the second word? 2 S's. So the word becomes passive, right? And number 3. What S's are missing in this word? Also 2 S's. So it becomes possible. And number 4. What are the missing letters? Yes, double L. 2 L's, so it becomes satellite. And what do you mean by satellite in Arabic? Satellite. What is a satellite in Arabic? Yes, exactly, Zainab. And number 5. What letters are missing in number 5? Number 5, double L, right? So it becomes a traveler. And what is meant by a traveler? Someone who travels, right? And number 6, what letters are missing? 2 E's. So it becomes a speech. And number 7, what are the missing letters? 2 E's. So it becomes screen. And what letters are missing in number 8? 2 O's. So it becomes look. So, exercise B, we have different definitions and we should write the word. Number 1, a building that has many hundreds of books. A library, so this is a definition. You should put it in your mind. So, the first one is a library, a building that has many hundreds of books. Number 2, a building where you can keep money. Somewhere where you can keep money. Yes, it's a bank. So, a bank is a building where you can keep money. Number 3, a book that gives you the meanings of words. Dictionary, yes. So a dictionary is a book that gives you the meanings of words. And now number 4, something to read that you can buy every day. You can buy this thing and you can read information in it, and it's called newspaper, and it is one word, just like Zainab and Dalal. Okay, only Zainab and Dalal wrote it well. Newspaper, one word, okay? Now let's move to exercise C. It says, use the words to write sentences like the example. For example, here in the first one, in the example, I mean, he gave us these words: ride a bicycle, accident. So the answer was, I used to ride a bicycle, but I don't now because I had an accident. So this exercise is about what? Is about the past habitual tense, right? And you should use this form to speak about, to suppose that the first words refer to an habit that you used to do before, and the other one is the reason why you changed or you left that habit. Can you do it now, or you want it as a homework? Can you do it now, or do you want it as a homework? Okay, do it now. Okay, so number one, walk to school, bicycle. So as we said, the first one refers to a past habit. The second one represents the reason why you changed that habit. So just like the example, what is your answer for one? Okay, thank you for your answers, everyone. So the answer is, I used to walk to school, but I don't now because I have a bicycle. So it's clear, right? I used to walk to school, but I don't now because I have a bicycle. Number two, buy food from a small shop, supermarket. Number two, yes, Omar, and I said that the answer of number one, I used to walk to school, but I don't now because I have a bicycle. I have a bicycle. Now, where's the problem? I don't know. Now, number two, so Number 2, the answer of number 2 is that, okay, there's a problem in connection, Sidra, and this is the problem. Number 2, we used to buy food from a small shop, but we don't now because there is a supermarket. And thank you for the good answers. So, I used to buy food from a small shop, but now I don't because there is a supermarket. Number 3, use landline phone, mobile phone. Number 3, use landline phone, mobile phone. The answer is of number 3, sorry. Yes. So the answer is I used to use a landline phone, but I don't now because I have a mobile phone. Yes. You should say mobile phone, okay? Not a mobile only, because the word mobile in itself, it is an adjective. And it refers to something that can be mobilized. Now, number 4, eat too much, want to get fit. Eat too much, want to get fit. Okay, so the answer is I used to eat too much, but I don't now because I want to get fit. Right? I used to eat too much, but I don't now because I want to get fit. Thank you so much for your answers. So now we have this exercise. Yes, thank you everyone for your answers. Here in this exercise, it says the lines in this text message are in the wrong order. Put them in the right order. So let's suppose that this is a text message. So you should say which sentence comes first, or which line comes first, and which one is the following one, and like that. So the first one, just like the example, he says, Jassim says he can't come to team. So this is number 1. So number 2, which is number 2? Let us read them. First one, works in his father's shop, then if B, will be able to come. C, practice on Wednesday because he. D, we can practice on Thursday. He. E, Jassim says he can't come to team. So E is already solved, and he says that sentence E is the first one. So what is the second? What is, sorry, the first line. So what is the second line of the text message? So C. So first one E and the other one, the second one is C. So it becomes Jassim says he can't come to team practice on Wednesday because he. What is the third one? Yes, exactly. The third one is A. So it becomes Jassim says he can't come to team practice on Wednesday because he works in his father's shop. He works in his father's shop then. If so, what is 4? 4D. So it becomes Jassim says he can't come to team practice on Wednesday because he works in his father's shop then. If we can practice on Thursday, he will be able to come, which is the fifth one, B, right? So it's easy, right? Okay. Now we have finished. What do we have else? We have the story. So I'm going to read it quickly. Do you want me to read it? Next time, inshallah, you will have to read the story. So we will think of it. We either have a meeting like that, but you have to, read it and I can hear you, or you can send a recording of you reading the story to the classroom, and we will see how to do it. Now, this story is about Bob and Basim. You remember we started studying about them since Unit 1. So this is one of the stories of Bob and Basim. And do you remember who is the troublemaker? He is Bob, right? He always makes troubles. So we have almost finished our lesson today. So now we will end this lesson, and I will upload the audio file of this story to your Google Classroom so you can hear it well, and you can study it. We will read it, study it, and we will do the exercises concerning it. And so, do you have any question? Do you have any question? Unfortunately, the internet service is not so good, so we will try and think of other ways to send the messages, to send the lessons. Okay, so see you next time. Thank you.